Ladies and gentlemen, today we're talking about the dangers of delaying Social Security. Why sometimes it makes sense. Hey, let's take this Social Security early. So that's what we're going to dive into today. If you're new here, so good to have you. My name is Dallin Haas. I'm a financial planner who serves you folks, you federal employees, every day. I absolutely love it. So let's dive in. When you talk to financial planners like myself or people on the internet or anywhere, the vast majority of the time, the advice for Social Security is, hey, look, you should delay. You get more, your benefits are better, it's better cost of living adjustment, all that stuff, right? They say, basically, most people say, go ahead and delay. There's exceptions, certainly, but if you added everybody up, most people are saying delay. But what are the dangers with that? Now, you have to understand there's pros and cons either way. There's risks and rewards for taking it early. There's risks and rewards for taking it later. But today we're just going to focus on some of the risks that come with delaying, okay? I've got other videos talking about different angles of this, but I want to talk about this side of it for now. So, first things first, here's the deal. What are the big risks of taking or delaying Social Security, okay? For not taking it basically right away, which is, for most of you, is going to be 62. If you don't retire until, let's say, 64, then it'd be basically right at retirement, okay? Generally speaking, you're not going to want to work and take Social Security at the same time, generally speaking, okay? There's exceptions, but generally speaking. So one of the big risks is, what if you die, right? What if you die early and you never got any of that money out after paying into the system for a long time? Now, if you're married and your spouse is going to be very reliant on what they call survivor benefits, which is basically a benefit from Social Security that is based on your working history, then maybe even if you're going to die early, it does make sense to delay. And I got other videos on that. But especially if you're single, if that's not a factor as much, then one big risk is what if you die early, which certainly can happen after putting all that money in, not getting a dime out can certainly be something we don't want, okay? That's number one. Now, number two, and this is the big one I want to talk about today, is, long story short, if you delay Social Security, you're going to have to probably take more from your investments early to be able to fill the gap. And often that strategy can work really well. In some instances, it makes a ton of sense. However, there's a risk that you take on by doing that. There's a fancy name for it called the sequence of returns risk. Let me tell you what it's all about. So let's say over the last 100 years, the stock market, right, the C fund, the S fund, these stock-based funds in the TSP, they have grown on average about 10% per year for the last 100 years, okay? So when people say, look, on paper, that means as long as I don't spend more than 10% per year, then I'm good to go. But the problem with that is it doesn't work in real life. And the reason it doesn't work in real life is because one year, the stock market may grow by 20%, the next it may be down 16%. So let's say the first few years of your retirement, the stock market has some bad years. So let's say it's down 10%. Well, you need to start using some of that money to live your lifestyle. And if you're delaying Social Security, you're going to need probably an even bigger chunk. So if the market's down, you got to pull money out. Well, you're pulling money out and the market's making your balance go down as well. So it's a double whammy. And if that happens for a few consecutive years early in retirement, what can happen is you can have basically damage to your TSP where it has gone down to a balance where it's very hard for it to recover later, where it's basically damage that it's not going to recover from, okay? Now, if the first few years of retirement can work the other ways, if the first few years of retirement work really well, then generally you've got a bigger base of investments to grow even more for the rest of your retirement, which is great, right? That is why we can't take as a higher percentage as we'd like from an investment all the time, because some years are going to be good, some years are going to be bad, and you've got to find a good balance for you. That's why the 4% rule is 4% and not 10%, because we've got to find an amount that you can actually pull out every single year and not have to worry about running out of money, okay? So that is one of the big risks you take by delaying Social Security. Number one, you can die. You can die early. Number two, if the first little bit of your retirement does not do well in the market, your investments don't do well in the market, then you can be doing some double whammy damage to your investments that is going to be very hard to recover from down the road. Okay. Again, there are pros, there are cons for taking early, for delaying, all those things. If you want to see different sides of it, I talk about this in different videos, but these are the things to think about when thinking about delaying. If it's still worth it for you, if you've got some buffer in your thrift savings plan, or a very popular strategy that I like to employ is sometimes the plan is, look, we're probably going to want to delay your Social Security, but if the market and things don't do well at all early in retirement, we can start it, right? Social Security is not one of those things where you have to make a decision, at 55 on exactly what you're going to do. You don't make that decision until you make it, right? And you can always change your mind if you're planning on delaying. If you say, oh, look, I actually want to take it early, whatever, you can do that, right? You're not locked in stone until you take it. So I hope that's helpful. Hopefully that gives some context on taking Social Security. And again, check out my other videos if you want some other angles on what this is all about. Okay. Have a great rest of your day. We'll see you guys next time.